This week on the Analog Circle podcast, Microsoft could be holding a Bethesda event very soon. We get news on what project Sony San Diego studios will be working on next. There are rumors swirling around about a Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Remaster, and we could have a release date window for WB Montreal's Gotham Knights. All of these stories can be found here and many more in episode 165. I'm your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. Very, very glad to have you guys here, and I humbly thank you again so much. Now, you, the listener, listening right now, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, which is the episode that will be recorded on Wednesday, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show. And the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to leave comments, your opinions, and all that good jazz and stuff like that. So, with that being said, this week, I continued to be in the Cyberpunk 20... Wait. Now, I didn't play anything this week. Nothing really to report, actually. So, I feel like I played something, but it's not coming to my mind. So anyway, I ain't going to harp on it too much, but without further ado, with that being out the way, let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So let's start off with some very insightful numbers when it comes to Sony. Due to the newest quarterly securities report for Sony under Section 9, which covers, quote, commitments, contingent, liabilities, and other. I know I messed that up. It's contingent. I'm having a hard time saying the word, pardon me. But liabilities and other, end of quote. Now, the report states, quote, certain subsidiaries in the game and network services, or G&NS for short, segment have entered into long-term contracts for the development, distribution, and publishing of game software. These contracts cover various periods, mainly within 7 years. As of December 31st, 2020, these subsidiaries were committed to make payments of 34,360 million yen under such contracts. So, what does all this mean? Well, it means that Sony committed to spending $329 million on publishing and partnership agreements for PlayStation for the current fiscal year from April 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, which would be paid over a 7-year period, which pretty much means Sony is laying the groundwork for games and future partnerships down the line. Now, this money will only cover, and this is very interesting, this money will only cover PlayStation exclusives being developed by teams and studios that are not owned by Sony. For example, Blue Point, that's a studio that isn't owned by Sony, but they did do the Demon's Souls remake, and it is exclusive to the PlayStation 5. Now, this budget does not include first-party studios, and it doesn't include third-party exclusives, like, say for instance, like Tokyo Ghostwire or Final Fantasy 16. So it looks like Sony will be fitting the bill for these studios to make the games that they want to see on their platform. Basically being built from scratch, not including established IPs. And even though $329 million, that is a lot of cake. That's a lot of money. But we know how much Sony spends on their AAA titles. I mean, Sony is spending close to $100 million, if not over $100+ million for their titles. So this leads me to believe that the games that they're going to be getting, they're going to be solid AAA experiences. I mean, think about it. Who is their name? Ninja Theory. They did Hellblade with a $10 million budget. And that game was beautiful. So I'm guessing that these games that they're going to be fitting that $329 million for will fall in line with those kinds of deals. And then we even just saw Destruction All-Stars, another game that's AA that has also, I'm sure, fell under the same banner of this $329 million being spent. All I can say is that Sony, they continue to not only put the money up to continue to get these games on their platform, but they also are making sure that they're doing their part on releasing exclusives from their studios. So it seems like Sony, they are continuing to be on a tear. They are not slowing down. They are letting it be known. We are spending the money to make sure that we continue to have a continuous flow of game after game after game. Now, granted, not all of these games are going to be for everybody. I get it. That some of these games are going to be off. They're not going to be great. I mean, Destruction All-Stars, I'm hearing it's not as great as many would have hoped it would be, but I'm hearing it's not bad. It's kind of middle of the road from what I'm hearing. So, not everything is going to be a hit and not everything is going to be a miss, but just the fact that these guys are putting this money up, and this doesn't even include the third-party exclusives like Final Fantasy 16 coming to the platform and Project Athena coming to the platform. For them to continue to spend the money in all of these different places, it lets you know that Sony, they want to continue to stay at the top of the food chain, and they are not trying to give up that crown easily. So my hat definitely goes off to Sony. They continue to stay in the fight. They haven't got big-headed over the years. They've continued to stay humble. And more importantly, they continue to stay hungry. The two H's that will take you the furthest. Humbleness and staying hungry. Those guys have been in there and they have been continuing to fight for our dollars and fight to get to that top, well, to stay at the top of the food chain when it comes to the gaming industry. So shout out to them for this incredible deal that they've made, $329 million. I mean, granted, some people will say, but what about Microsoft? Microsoft just spent $7.5 billion for Bethesda. I get it. And we got some news about that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, I mean, you definitely got a fair point if you want to say that. But Sony, they're doing what they can do with the budget that fits their wallet the best. So, my hat goes off to them. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move into some quick news since I brought up Microsoft just a second ago. And this is quite shocking, I would say. Dirt 5 is coming to Game Pass on February 25th. And what makes this so crazy is the game came out in November. So here it is 3 months later, December, January, February. 3 months later, a brand new game is coming to Game Pass. Now another interesting thing about this, though, is if you guys remember back just a couple of weeks ago, we can't forget that EA, they did put in that bid and they won, and now they own Codemasters, or they're at least closer to buying them. So maybe the deal went through for Codemasters. I know that they did say Codemasters will continue to operate as an independent studio, but they are, I believe, officially under the EA banner. And we know that EA and Microsoft have been very tight over the years. So with that, it actually makes a little more sense, but it's still shocking, though. I mean, you gotta give a lot of credit to Microsoft. I'm sure they had to come up off of the bag to get that into the service this early on. And, for people that waited, held off on Dirt 5, weren't too sure about getting it, you'll be able to play it in Game Pass February 25th. Let's go ahead and let's talk about some Konami news because, allegedly, according to Andy Robinson, who works for VGC, he is getting word that Konami is going to, they're gonna go there. I'm all tongue-tied. They're gonna go the Disney route. allegedly, by outsourcing two of their IPs, one being Metal Gear Solid and the other being Castlevania, to third-party studios. Now, we also said that Konami is developing multiple Silent Hill reboot games. Now, we said this in a tweet, and I quote, Bloober Team has hinted it could be working on Silent Hill, but I understand Konami has already outsourced the project to a prominent Japanese developer, No Nakajima. Two reboots, very possible. End of quote. Now, he did also mention that supermassive Silent Hill pitch, that actually turned into the Dark Pictures anthology. Very, very interesting. So is this, by the way, I got this article from PSU. So is this the strategy for Konami? They don't, I guess, possibly. Now, this is all rumor. I want to definitely put that out there. None of this has been 100% confirmed. But if this is the case, would this be the best way for Konami to do this? Since it doesn't seem like they're very interested in actually rebooting their own franchises, to offshoot it to a third-party studio, let them do it, get some bread off of them by allowing them to use the IP, get the game out into the open, into the gaming market, have people enjoy it, and the IP can continue to live, but Konami does not have to do any of the legwork. Now, if this is true, we've heard Metal Gear for quite some time. We've heard that, that's supposed to be getting remade, and everybody thinks that Blue Point is gonna be the team to do it. They've done excellent work for Sony, on several different titles, the Uncharted collection and Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus was another amazing looking IP. And then you have I just said it, Demon Souls. They remade that. So their track record is pretty much flawless for the most part. They're pretty flawless on what they do. So we've heard that they should be the team, or would be the team, that would be picking up Metal Gear Solid to do that. That would be amazing to have them do that. But the one that really piques my interest, that is something we haven't heard about, or at least I haven't, is Castlevania being put on the block of having someone else, being outsourced, as it were, to have another team actually work on that. Who the world do you get to work on Castlevania? What is a good fit? What is a good studio? This is a good fit for Castlevania. I wanted to say, because I was thinking about Castlevania 64. Not the best game, I know, but they tried to go the 3D route with that. I was thinking of who's the team behind God of War? Sony Santa Monica. Could you imagine if Sony Santa Monica, and it only made me think about that because of Kratos with his chains, and we know that Simon Belmont, he got the whip and whatnot. It made me wonder, good grief, would that be a really good fit or what? To have them take over the Castlevania IP. I don't know if that will happen. I'm sure those guys have enough on their plate with God of War Ragnarok and some other things, so I'm sure that would be that would be a pipe dream, really. But who do you think should take over for Castlevania? Revamping that and bringing that up to the modern day, the modern times. Who do you think they'll get to do that? I'm very, very curious. But that's what we have on Konami. That seems to be the road, at least according to Mr. Andy Robinson, that Konami will be going down when it comes to their IPs. And I think that's really good if they outsource it to the right teams. it could be amazing. It could really be a really good look for them. And hopefully they're not just open to it being on a Sony platform, but also allowing Microsoft to do the same. If they want to throw their hat in the ring, pick up the Castlevania IP and maybe put one of their teams on it. So we'll see if this is true, because first we got to find out if this is legit, and then we can, I guess, take it from there. But definitely we'll keep our hand on the pulse when it comes to this one. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Now, hold on. Now, I don't want to just bypass. Hold up. Oh, let me back up for a minute. Bloober Team. Interesting that they could actually be working on one of these reboots of Silent Hill. And we just saw them with the Medium. They did pretty good from what I heard. I haven't played the game. I don't have a Series X. Y'all know this. But I heard that the game, it wasn't over the moon great, but it wasn't a bad game from what I hear. I hear it kind of falls between a 6.5 and a 7. That's not bad. So, I mean, with them actually working on, I guess, allegedly, again, a new Silent Hill reboot with what they just came off of, give them a little bit more budget, they might be able to make something pretty dope, man. We'll have to definitely wait and see. And just the fact that Supermassive, just going on another side note with the story, the idea that they pitched for another Silent Hill turned into Dark Pictures anthology. I can't even see the correlation between the two, because I've played one episode. I think it's up to 2 episodes right now in the Dark Pictures anthology. I played the first one. That was on a ship. I don't know how that correlates with Silent Hill. And then the second one, I think you're in a house. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the second one, but I'm rambling, man. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's move on and let's talk about some very, very, this kind of came out of nowhere. Let's talk about Sony San Diego Studio, because this is the team, if you weren't aware, I'm sure you guys are, but if you weren't aware, it's the team behind MLB The Show. And that's pretty much what they've been working on exclusively for the most part for around 15 years. But now they are finally going to get the chance to work on something else. They are now working on a third-person open-world RPG for the PlayStation 5. So we did get a few details about what the game will be like due to a job listing that says, quote, "We need skilled testers familiar with immersive third-person combat, open-world RPG elements, and challenging gameplay," end of quote. Now they are also saying they would need feedback to, quote, "improve the title for fans of games with RPG and puzzle elements," end of quote. Now, this team outside of MLB The Show, they have worked on a few games over the years. They worked on Little Big Planet Karting, which was kind of like a Mario Kart ripoff a little bit. They worked on Mod Nation Racers, which I believe you could build your tracks in that game, which was it was kind of all right, I guess. And they worked on Mark of Cry as well. I think that came out on the PS2, just to name a few. So they didn't really set the gaming world on fire with these games right here. They didn't do too much, but maybe, time has passed. 15 years working on one IP. Who knows, man? Maybe they've grown. They're working on this third-person open-world RPG that's going to have puzzle elements to it as well. It could turn into something great. And plus, I think it's also really cool that Sony is allowing the team to finally spread out into something else, something brand new. And who knows? Maybe it's because the game is now on Xbox, which means that they'll be getting more sales, which could have possibly opened up a bit more of a budget. And of course, we don't know how well it's going to sell on Xbox right now, but it just being available on another platform, maybe that opened up a bit of the budget so these guys can actually try to spread their wings and do something different. Because, I mean, we hear it all the time that these teams, you know, that they're artists, they're creatives, so they get tired of working on the same stuff over and over again. And it's great to give them a change of pace. So hopefully, with that being the case with Sony San Diego Studios, they'll be able to make a fantastic, you know, open world RPG. I mean, only time will tell. Hopefully we'll get more details about this as the months and I'm sure years go by, because I'm sure this isn't anywhere close to being done. But just the fact that Sony is allowing them to work on something brand new, I think that says a lot for Sony. And hopefully these guys over at Sony San Diego Studios, they will capitalize on it and make it great, similar to Guerrilla Studios. I mean Guerrilla Games. Let's say Guerrilla Studios. Guerrilla Games, when Sony allowed them to stop dealing with the Killzone IP and let them, you know, move on to something else, which was Horizon Zero Dawn. And they actually struck out. It was like not struck out in a bad way, but they struck a hit, you know, with the game, and it resonated with a lot of people, and it's become a new IP. Aloy is a new face of PlayStation, you know, one of their top tier characters now. So, I mean, that just goes to show that if you give a team another chance, give them another fresh start on something else, they just might hit gold. So hopefully that'll be the same thing that happens with San Diego Studios. But let's go ahead. Oh, speaking of I don't know if you guys heard this, and this wasn't written down, but speaking of Horizon Zero Dawn, they were saying that it's supposed to be, now this is also alleged, not factual, but it's rumor going around, that they're going to be making a PSVR Horizon Zero Dawn game, you know, which, I mean, good grief, can you imagine a Horizon Zero Dawn being in virtual reality, being in the PSVR, which could mean that possibly the new PSVR might be around the corner if they're talking about that this Horizon Zero Dawn VR game could be coming out soon. So we'll have to see. Anyway, I kind of botched that, but let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about a game that has had a very hard time. Oh man, it's been rough for him. Marvel's Avengers. Square and Crystal Dynamics has finally given a release date for the free upgraded versions for Series X and PS5. Now, they will release on March 18th, 2021, and on top of the free upgrade, that's not the only thing that they will be giving away for free. You will also get Clint Barton's version of Hawkeye alongside a new story and a new villain to fight with Maestro, according to the Bleeding Cool article, for free. And haptic feedback has been confirmed for the DualSense controller if you don't get drift on it, bro. Oh man, it's not looking good for the haptic feedback joint for the DualSense. A lot of more cases are coming out about that doggone drift. I don't know, but it is cool that they're putting haptic feedback into it, you know, for the DualSense controller. Now, they did not, on the other hand, they never mentioned anything about ray tracing, so that has not been confirmed. But you will also, and we know this, you'll get faster load times, you'll get a higher resolution and all of that stuff when it comes to actually getting it on the Series X and the PS5. But one other thing that I wanted to let you guys know, you might not be aware of it. I got this from Push Square, by the way. But Spider-Man, they actually put a Twitter post up where they said, quote, Spider-Man is still coming, but early 2021 is now replaced with 2021. So this looks like it's going to be postponed. Spider-Man won't be coming out as soon as they thought. Sometime this year it should be out, but they are not putting any specific timeline on it. So who knows? This thing might come out December 31st, 2021. But we'll have to wait and see. And that was definitely one of the controversial moments in gaming where people got upset that Spider-Man was going to be exclusive to the PlayStation. And I didn't care. I'm like, man, well, ask Microsoft to do better. Have them come out there and do the same thing. Let them cut the same deals that Sony is doing and let them know that they appreciate your business as well. So, I mean, the game, I'm sure that the Spider-Man delay has to do with the game not doing as great as they hoped it would. So maybe it's just no rush to get Spider-Man out onto the game sooner than what they were, because the demand for the game just is not there. But let's go ahead. Let's get into another story. So, according to Jeff Grubb, who works for GamesBeat, while doing a GamesBeat podcast, believes Xbox will be holding an event related to Bethesda. Now, he said, quote, "Once the deal closes, they will talk about it in a big way. I don't know if it will be like a full direct style event, but they will make note of it and they will talk about it extensively and explain what it means to everybody. Expect that to happen sometime in mid-March." End of quote. Now, if we are to believe Mr. Jeff Grubb here, golly, shout out to you. Got this from Comic Book, by the way. But if we are to believe that this is true, Microsoft will be talking about this Bethesda acquisition in mid-March. How likely is that? Do you guys think that that is true? Because a couple of things that we've covered, it's actually come true. I mean, most never do when we talk about it, over here. It's a lot that don't happen, but some have come true. Like just recently, on the last episode, we were talking about, I was talking about, how can we? I was talking to you guys about, Microsoft actually having that event or something about it being better, faster, frames per second and a boost mode or something like that with the Xbox One. And that actually turned out to be true. And Digital Foundry actually covered it. And yeah, it was something we had heard that could be a possibility. And it wasn't confirmed. Nobody knew. But, yeah. It had turned out to be true. So could this be a similar situation where Jeff Grubb, he has some intel on Microsoft possibly talking about Bethesda in mid-March? Man, wouldn't that be something? And then they could get everything on the table. That's the thing, because the biggest question is, are Bethesda games going to remain third party, or are they going to be exclusive to the Xbox brand? I'm hoping that they will be exclusive. I think it gives people a reason to get an Xbox. Series X or Series S or whatever, the world, wherever you want to get in, the cloud or whatever. But them actually making them available on the PlayStation, that is going to defeat the purpose, in my opinion. Well, it wouldn't technically, because of course, Microsoft wants to make money. They are a business first, and their bottom line is what matters the most. So no, it wouldn't be a loss, but I think if you're trying to get traffic to Game Pass, which is absolutely your bread and butter right now, that's what that's what Microsoft is depending on to continue to get people into the ecosystem, and they're doing great so far with 15 million subs right now. That's incredible. By them having the games stay exclusive on the platform, that would only grow the service and your ecosystem. Now, you could also look at it from a different point of view, and we talked about this, where Microsoft, they could just say, well, hey, the hook is if you have it on the Xbox, you sign up to Game Pass, you get all of the games day and date versus having to pay the $70 when it comes to getting it on PlayStation. So, I mean, they could go with that angle, but we'll have to see, man. Hopefully this is true. This will happen in mid-March, and we'll definitely get a better understanding of what is happening over there at Bethesda. So let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So this next story, just like the last, takes us down that infamous Rumor Boulevard. And yeah, by the way, once again, the Jeff Grubb situation with them having this in mid-March, that is not confirmed. So definitely take that with a mustard seed of truth. But take this next story with a gigantic mustard seed of truth, because alleged reputable leaker on social media, his name is Tez, T-E-Z, has hinted at PS5 owners getting a remake of 3 beloved games from the PlayStation 2. So from this point, like I said, man, take this with a mustard seed of truth. So this rumor started when Tez changed his Twitter banner showcasing the GTA Trilogy, accompanied by artwork from Liberty City. So if this is true, that would mean not only Grand Theft Auto 3, but GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas would all be in one bundle, remastered. Golly, could you imagine? Also, in an Inverse article, it was also said that speculation of this trilogy also began on the official GTA forums in a long-running post about DLC spanning over 500 pages long. And some fans over on the GTA forum dug up a tweet from one of the forum's admins who posted some fan-made credit cards with some interesting details. The numbers 2001, 2002, 2004, and 2013, which once again covers the years of GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, I guess GTA 5 as well. So, I know that this is a stretch Armstrong possibility. This is probably so far-fetched, we will probably get Half-Life 3 first before this happens. But let's not forget last week when we were talking about their earnings, their quarterly financial report, when asked about the remasters of prior GTA games, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick did like the question and said it was, quote, encouraging. So how crazy would it be if this turned out to be true? I would absolutely buy the heck out of this. Because the only game out of those 3 that I played, and I still didn't beat it, was GTA 3. I missed Vice City, and I missed San Andreas. Man, my speech. I missed San Andreas as well. So this would be brand spanking new games for me. And I've seen some of these mods on PC from GTA 3 and Vice City. Haven't really seen any on San Andreas, but man, these jokers look real good, man. I mean, they look good. They look doable. They look doable for the time. You know, so if Rockstar was to go in there and do this would, man, you want to talk about some copies being sold, brother. Golly. If they was to sell this for $60 or $70, remastering it. Now, I don't know. That's the thing, man. Have we ever seen a bundle like this where 3 games get remastered and sold for the price of 1? I mean, because, hey, man, I'm not going to count that Super Mario bundle. You can go somewhere and sit down with that one because Nintendo did nothing with that. I mean, Mario 64, come on, man. They ain't do much. They ain't do nothing. They didn't do anything with the other 2 games either. They did absolutely no work for that price, but it's Mario and people buy it, you know. So I'm just curious though, if they were to do this and really make some remasters, this would be the dopest trilogy, the dopest bundle I think we would have ever seen, man. So much value here. So we'll see if it happens. Once again, this is I believe the 20th anniversary of GTA 3. Man, y'all know my memory is shot. I believe it's 20 years. But, we have to see, man. We have to see. I'm just thinking about the possibilities. Anyway, let's go ahead, man. And we getting close to the end. I think we're going to wrap up on time today. So, let's move on into the next story. So, some news popped up this week about Gotham Knights that's pretty interesting. Now, even though WB has not given a release date for the game, they did say it would release in 2021, this year. Now, according to a UK retailer called The Game Collection, they are listing Gotham Knights with a release date of July 31st. Now, this is interesting because, similar to what the comic book article pointed out, that day actually falls on a Saturday. So, I'm pretty sure that isn't accurate. But what that date does do is possibly gives us a window of when the game will release. So it's possible the game may release this summer, and that date could be a placeholder. Now, this would be so dope because I believe the last time we heard about Gotham Knights, the release date seemed like it was circling around October sometime. So that would mean that they actually finished or are finishing the game early. Well, I can't even say that because nothing was officially said. But we thought that October was going to be around the time frame. But if they can actually have it released sometime over the summer, that would be awesome. So we'll have to wait and see if this actually turns out to be true. Now let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So the Halo Master Chief Collection is getting a few changes for the next public flight, which will include 2 new maps for Halo 3 from Halo Online, Edge and Water, double key bindings, mouse and keyboard support for console, which is definitely different and pretty cool, advanced audio options, and weapon display offsets for view model position customization options. Now, 343 is targeting a release date of February 25th, 2021 to have this content ready for Halo players. Now, the map Edge started out as the LD Riddle mod, I believe, of Halo Online, and it'll take place on a Forerunner base and leans towards the Halo 4 art style. And Waterfall was something that 343 had to do more work on, but is now complete and will feature a research station built into the side of a glacier. So, February 25th, 343 continues to bring out more content. This is great for Master Chief Collection owners. It's giving us a reason to go back to it. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I don't think I'll be going back to it because it's a multiplayer map. But for those that are that are players of Halo Online, then this is a great incentive. So yeah, that's about it for that. But moving into the last story, oh man, this was one of the shortest episodes we have ever done. This is something else. Now, this is actually in quick news. February 21st. Today is February 21st, and today Zelda has turned 35 years old. I want to give Link and Zelda a round of applause. Golly, this game came out when I was 7 years old. Yeesh, time flies. Time is gone, man. This is crazy. Congratulations, Zelda has made it to 35 years old. Man, oh man. And I did find out now this right here, brothers. Oh man, this is some bogusness right here. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword will cost $60, man. I got a problem with that. And that is actually where, and I know you guys saw it, man. the question of the week came from. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, man, since we're getting done early this week, we're going to get into video game theater this week. And this week, video game theater, I wanted to do a flashback. I wanted to take it back to a time and a place that we just talked about. I wanted to take it back to Grand Theft Auto 3, celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And in this scene, this is the scene where Claude, that's right, y'all know Claude didn't talk at all in GTA 3. He just took orders and he just got it done. But this is when Claude is starting to get close into the mafia crime family. So we're going to pick it up from there. But after video game theater, we got to talk about Nintendo. So we will be right back after this video game theater. Stay tuned, guys.
You did good back there, kid. Real good. Come on, let's introduce you to the Don.
Hey, Luigi!
Oh, my girls have been missing you so long, Salvatore. You've been away too long.
You tell them once this unfortunate business is taken care of, we'll all go down to the club and celebrate, okay? There's my boy.
How you doing, Pop?
You got yourself a good woman yet? Hey, your mother, God bless her soul, would be turning over in her grave to see you without a wife.
I know, Pop. I'm working on it.
Tony! How's your mama? She's a great woman, you know. Strong. Firenze.
She's good. Fine.
Terrific, terrific. Now listen, you guys, you go inside while I talk to our new friend here. I see nothing but good things for you, my boy. Me and the fellas need to talk business, so you're going to look after my girl for the evening. Hey, Maria.
And welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We are in the final section of the podcast where you guys saw the question, and we are going to go over it officially. Should Nintendo be held to a higher standard? That's the question. Now, I bring this up because I talked about it just a few minutes ago. Skyward Sword is selling for $60. The HD Skyward Sword. $60. And it looks like there has been no work done to this game. Now let's take Microsoft, for example. Let's say they released Fable. 35th anniversary of Fable. Of course, we know it's not that old, but just walk down this road with me. Let's walk together. Let's say they did the same thing. They released Fable and called it an HD version of the game, but they did no work to the game. Could they get away with this? Would the gaming community be upset with Microsoft? I think they would be. But here you have Nintendo. They do something like this, and you don't hear anything. Let's go to Sony for a minute. Let's say that Sony remade one of their games. It wasn't a remake, but it was an HD version of one of their games, one of their beloved franchises. Do you think that they could get away with this? Not at all. But Nintendo, for some reason, we give them a pass. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like I have not applauded the Nintendo Switch. I would say it is Nintendo's greatest console ever. Only next to the Super Nintendo. This is by far the best console that Nintendo has ever made. I applaud them for that. But some of these practices that they do, Sony and Microsoft would never be able to do that. Case in point, talking about Nintendo's online, there is no voice chat. Can somebody tell me why is that okay? Why do people just simply say, oh, well, it's Nintendo. What are you gonna do? And I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of just saying Nintendo does what Nintendo does. No big deal. I think we need to do better. I think we need to hold Nintendo to a higher standard. I mean, we had Mario 3D All-Stars come out, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Now, granted, it was a 3-pack. That's a heck of a value. But still, they did no work to the games. It was so minimal. The work that they put in, but yet they sold it for $60. And I get it, it's a good value for what you get, but could Microsoft and Sony get away with doing the same thing? That's the difference. I mean, here you have Nintendo Switch is going on 4 years old. 4 years. And there has not been one price drop. And I get it. The Nintendo Switch is selling like it's a brand new system. They can't keep it in the store. It doesn't make sense to drop the price. I understand that. But would Sony and Microsoft do the same? I mean, let's take it to the Wii U for a moment. You guys remember the Wii U was drowning in a pool of blood. It was dying a slow, painful, horrible death. But yet they never dropped the price of the Wii U. Could Microsoft or Sony do something like that? I mean, I guess they could. It's their company. They can make the price point what they want. But why does Nintendo think it's okay for them to be able to do this? It amazes me, the double standard when it comes to Nintendo. And I have been blinded myself. It was the Direct that just really made me say, God dog, man, now, wait a minute. Something got to give here. I mean, here it is. You got the Ninja Gaiden collection that's coming out. Those games have not been touched. I mean, not touched up at all. And I guarantee they're going to sell for full price with no touch-ups. That zombie game, I can't remember that character's name. Y'all know my memory is shot. That looks like an Xbox original game. How much you think Nintendo is going to sell it for? Could Sony and Microsoft get away with that? Now, I understand that. Now, I do want to put this out there. That Ninja Gaiden Sigma or the collection, that is going to be on the PlayStation and it will be on the Xbox. Now, whether or not it gets some upgrades or not, ooh, I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. The Switch is going to be the inferior version out of the three, and that's the other thing. Now, granted, I understand. The Switch, they've had Witcher 3 that's been released on it, Doom Eternal, which is incredible that these games even made it to the Switch platform. It's incredible. I don't know what kind of magic and voodoo these development teams are doing to get these big games on the Switch. It's amazing. But here it is, Nintendo, just to the point of the Ninja Gaiden collection, they have the inferior versions of these third-party games, but yet they sell them at $60. Like it's a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 game or Xbox game, whatever the case may be. That is what they do. And nobody bats an eye at it. If anything, it gets commended. And I have done it myself. I'm guilty. I am the problem. But man, should we be holding them to a higher standard? Do you think that Sony and Microsoft could get away with having the inferior product, selling it for the same price point as somebody else on their console that has the better version? We're not talking about PC. Do not bring up PC. Okay, please don't do it. I'm just saying console to console. Could they get away with that? But yet Nintendo does. All I'm saying and all I'm asking again is, should Nintendo be held to a higher standard? I think we let Nintendo get away with a lot of things and a lot of practices that the other two console manufacturers could never dream of getting away with. And I understand that Nintendo is the OG. I get it. Nintendo, they saved gaming. Yes, they did back in the 80s. That's their claim to fame. They saved gaming. Shout out to Nintendo. I will always give Nintendo their props. I got the Switch console. Like I said, it is the best Nintendo console I have played since the Super Nintendo, and I think it's better than the Super Nintendo because you have that portability. I'm not taking anything away from them when it comes to that, but I'm just saying I think we should be holding their feet to the fire a little bit more than what we do. What do you guys think? Should Nintendo be held to a higher standard? If you want to be a part of the conversation, and I would love, absolutely love to hear from you, you can either email the show, and the email address is the analogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call in to the show at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. God dog it. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and it is always such an honor. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege to be able to talk with you guys. Thank you guys for all the amazing support. Thank you guys for being here every week. It truly, truly means so much to me. With that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap this on up. But before we officially get out of here, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, until Wednesday, when we do it again, or it might be Thursday, who knows, it might slip. I got to take a trip down south this week, and sometimes those are a little longer, so we'll see what happens. But until we record and meet each other again, possibly on Wednesday or Thursday, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.